6,142. That's the number of United States military veteran suicides in 2020, according to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. That number does not include the 282 cases amongst military lives lost by suicide also in 2020, which include active duty, National Guards, and reservists. That number also doesn't include the 202 lives lost by military spouses and dependents, according to the U.S. Department of Defense. I am your host, Anabel. Welcome to A Day in Miami, live from the studios of Miami's Community News. Today, we have Angelo Martinez, the South Florida coordinator for Irreverent Warriors. Irreverent Warriors is an organization dedicated to prevent veteran suicides through humor and camaraderie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Today's show is sponsored by Heyday Marketing and Lifestyle Miami. Both organizations believe in bridging the gap between the military community and civilian communities. Thank you so much. So let's get started.
Yeah.
Angelo, they also call you Mr. South Florida.
I do.
Why is that?
Because I am the South Florida coordinator.
Okay.
I'm more known as the Barracks Legend, but because the amount of money we've raised down here, I've become Mr. South Florida for Irreverent Warriors.
I love that. And today, he drove all the way from West Palm Beach to be here with us today.
Yes.
And he brought a special outfit.
I did.
Can you explain to us what that is?
I am wearing my Silkies. They are normally worn for PT, and these are from Thigh Huggers, and these happen to have my own face on them.
That's fantastic. You are your own brand.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Okay, so Angelo, you shared a very powerful story with me the other day. It was a video that you shared, something that you experienced in 2019. Can you tell our viewers about that?
Sure. I was going through a very rough and nasty divorce at that time. And during that time frame, I was living out of my car. I was couch surfing. I owned a house, but it was unsafe for me to be there. And I came back home to Florida. At that time, I was in Pennsylvania. And I came back home to Florida, and I was really broken. I was hurting, and all these things were just piling on me. And it was about beginning of December where I decided that I wanted to kill myself. And I waited for my roommates to leave. He had a gun. And I walked downstairs, locked the door once they left, walked upstairs. And as soon as I sat down on my broken futon, I got a call from Wade Waddick, and he asked if I wanted to come shoot a video for their supplement company. It's like, well, I can do that or I can do this. And I was like, well, my roommates aren't going to be here anyways, so I can go, come back, and, you know, it won't matter. And I went there. I joined a bunch of soldiers, sailors, and Marines on the beach to act like we were Special Forces Christmas elves for Santa. And I had been filled with so much love and joy that I came back home soaking wet, sat on my broken futon, and said, I don't have to die today. Oh my God. And
that is so powerful.
It clicked in my head that the one thing I had been missing this entire time, because I am sober and clean. I have been at that point probably over 4.5 years. I am Christian. I believe in God, but I was missing this one thing, and it was the camaraderie. And it clicked in my head. And from there, my life just changed drastically.
That's amazing. And we're so happy that you're with us here today.
I am too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. So now, Mr. South Florida, you are the coordinator, like I mentioned earlier, of the Irreverent Warriors for South Florida. So talk to us a little bit about the organization, and we are going to show the website.
Perfect. So Irreverent Warriors is a nonprofit that their mission is to bring veterans together using humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide. So their goal is to draw these veterans out of isolation into these events to help them get back into the community that they once were in.
Correct, before they joined.
But yeah.
So here we're showing some pictures of some of the events.
And we are nationwide. We host hikes and major events across, there are about 90 hikes nationwide and
Annually?
outside. Yeah.
Wow.
And we're actually worldwide now. We're in Normandy. We're in Guam. Goodness, where's the other one? I think there's one being set up in Germany right now. Wow. We're all the way from Hawaii to New York City, down here to San Diego, Montana, you name it.
That's amazing. And we have some pictures that we can show of some of the hikes that you guys have organized.
Yes.
I think I chose a picture from, Washington, D.C. There's a picture there of a hike. There we go. Maybe that's Fort Lauderdale?
That's Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
That's Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Great picture.
Right? What about that one?
That's Fort Lauderdale. That's Kat.
That's Fort Lauderdale.
That's Fort Lauderdale.
Nice. I think, I chose all of these from your Instagram.
There is one, I think, that you pulled up that was D.C.
That was D.C.
Yeah. Oh, that's Tallahassee.
That's Tallahassee.
Yeah.
So former soldiers, active duty soldiers, reservists, National Guards, they're all invited to these hikes, correct?
Yep. Soldiers, sailors, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, Air Force, active, retired, you name it, they're all welcome. They've all answered the call, and they are all part of our brotherhood and sisterhood.
That's amazing. And these hikes, from what I read, you don't have to be an athlete. It's a walk.
Yeah.
I mean, but all of you kind of are athletes. They are.
We're a little, some of us are a little older. Some of us have been, deployed a few times. And we understand that not all of us have kind of kept up with how we used to be. So we're very much so intentional about what the pace is going forward. Usually about like 3.5 or something like that.
Miles an hour?
Or 2.5, something like that.
Yeah, miles an hour. Yeah, I did read that, like 2 to 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's so, and the hikes are usually anywhere from 4 to 10 miles, correct?
Yes.
Okay, wow. So it's like an all-day event.
It starts in the morning. We all gather around. We all get hyped up. And then we go over a safety brief. And then we make our way to our first stop. And then we make our way to our second stop and so forth.
That is so much fun. I'm sure that you guys have really helped prevent a lot of suicides.
I know we have.
Yeah. That's amazing. So as a coordinator, what are some of the other things that you do? You organize events. What are some other things? Like, do you go to, on-call duty, where if a soldier is wanting to commit suicide, do you go and talk to them?
So as a South Florida coordinator, I host these events. Obviously, the Silkie Hike. We also host other events. We hosted a comedy show that raised $27,000.
Wow.
We hosted a poker tournament with the Seminole Casino in Coconut Creek that raised over $44,000. We've done axe throwing, we've done beach days. There's so many things that we do. We're not just one Silkie Hike. We're a lot of different events because we want veterans to build a strong community around them so that they can lean on during those hard times. So
Correct.
When it comes to veterans that are struggling with suicide or they're kind of on the edge, obviously I'm not a licensed clinical social worker. However, I do know places that I can send them. And I can talk to veterans about those things, and if they're in a rough place, I can, but I will always refer them to places like, whether it's Connected Warriors or the VA or vet centers or Code of Realm, those places. I'll always refer them. Stop Soldier Suicide.
Yeah.
They're a nonprofit that will call you within 15 minutes, no matter what time it is. Yeah.
So you call them, and if they don't answer?
Oh, they'll call. You fill out a little application online.
Okay.
It's like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Within 15 minutes, someone's calling you.
What is the reality? Okay, so I want to go back to your story, because a friend called you to be part of something. You didn't call anyone that you were feeling this way. You didn't go online that you were feeling this way. What is the actual, would somebody call or email if they're really going through those thoughts? Like, what is the percentage? Like, is it realistic or?
I don't know the percentage, but the chances of someone actually reaching out, I feel like if they don't have a community or they've never expressed that they're in a dark place, the chances of them reaching out are kind of slim.
Correct.
And that's why it's so important for them to be involved in the community because, oh, hey, I'm going through this really hard time. Oh, dude, talk to me. Let's talk about it. So if I'm not available and they know that this is something that we talked about, it's like, you know what? I should take that advice and go call Stop Soldier Suicide. Or maybe I should go to the vet center. Maybe I should do this.
Right. Like, so we are encouraging, right, soldiers, past, present, to be part
Yes.
of organizations, because one day when you go through that rough spot, you think, well, no, because next weekend I have an event and they're depending on me to be part of that event.
Right.
So the outreach that you guys do is vital, and this is one of the
Yes.
things that we're doing for outreach for our soldiers.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. Okay, so we talked about some of the upcoming events, but I want to talk about specifically this coming weekend, not this one, but the following, February 11th.
Right.
So let's talk about that entire weekend.
Oh, man. What
a huge weekend.
It is. That is our South Florida Silkie Hike. The entire weekend is packed with all sorts of things to do. If you're coming in early, on Thursday, we're having a sunset cruise. And what we did is we paid a lot. We paid a large portion of a lot of the events so that it wasn't that expensive for the veterans. We want them to be able to be able to come down here and not feel like, oh, I got to spend all this money.
Right.
So we tried to pay as much as we could so that this could be affordable for anybody that comes. So on Thursday, we do have a sunset cruise.
Great.
And it's like $10. Normally it's like $80.
Right.
And then Friday, we have a snorkeling and a sightseeing cruise. The same thing, $10. Normally it's like $80. Actually, on Fridays, probably like $100. And then we have our meet and greet at the wharf in Fort Lauderdale. And
That's a nice location.
oh, it's so
I like that
beautiful.
one.
Yeah, and one of the managers there is Sam. He's an Army veteran. He's all about it. It's one of my great friends. And then Saturday, we have our Silkie Hike, and that starts in Esplanade Park. And registration starts at 8. Bring your best Silkies.
Huh. And we can show the actual invitation or the flyer.
Or to play.
Invitation and flyer of the Silkie Hike. And Silkies is what you're wearing. So we are encouraging, right, soldiers that are going on the hike to actually wear their Silkies. Well, it's going to be hot, maybe, really hot.
It should be nice.
It should be nice, because today was really nice.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that hike starts at 8 o'clock, and then
that goes to about probably like between 3 and 4. And then we'll have our first annual Irreverent Warrior Awards show.
oh, wow. Okay. And then we have a little flyer for that too, and we'll pop it up here shortly. And what is the awards show about exactly?
The Irreverent Warriors Awards show is our investment into the Irreverent Warriors community. And we want them to know that we have been watching them do amazing things. So you have awards all the way from, most hikes attended to the best duo, all the way through most inspirational to the Donnie O'Malley Award for Leadership and Excellence.
That is so much fun. And where is that taking place exactly?
That's going to be at the B Ocean Resort in Fort Lauderdale. We're on the beach.
Oh, okay, that one.
It's
Oh,
a
that's
black
so
tie
nice.
event.
It is a black tie event. Thank you for telling me. Do I have to wear black too?
I mean,
because I was going to wear red.
I mean, we're trying to keep it as, nice as possible.
Okay, perfect. Well, good. I'm going to wear black.
Okay.
That's so wonderful. And how can people that are interested actually, because like we said, the hike is reserved for past and present soldiers across all branches, the Space Force, the Navy, right, the Marines, the Army. So how can they register for the Silkie Hike?
Well, they can either go online to irreverentwarriors.com.
Okay.
Or they can go to Eventbrite and look up South Florida Hike, Irreverent Warriors, and they can register there.
Perfect. And it's in Fort Lauderdale. It's like right around the corner. And how many are you expecting? How many participants?
Over 200. Right now we're probably about 100 right now, I want to say.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, everyone likes to register last second. So
No, it's true. And then some people, when they get there, they want to register. Can they do that as well?
yeah,
Okay.
it's okay to register last second.
Okay.
We prefer everyone register beforehand.
Right.
Because that helps us with catering, with the food and stuff like that, merchandise for everybody. So we like to be on our game when everyone shows up. It's hard to
Gauge.
gauge that sometimes if you have 30 shirts and you have 10,000 veterans show up and everyone registers last
That
second.
would be a great number.
Yeah. I'd love for
That
them
would-
to all come out. Would it cost money? Probably, but it would be worth every penny.
Exactly, exactly. I absolutely love that. And another thing about the Silkie's Hike that I read, so how many miles, how do we say, because you have like certain events at different stops. Like how often does that take place? Like every mile?
We try to break it up so that there's a little stop point where veterans can whether eat and talk and hang out, or it's hang out on the beach, whatever. So we'll stop. Well, I can't say where because of security reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we like to make these stops at like in between like a mile and a half, every mile and a half.
Okay.
Around that.
And then when the soldier gets there, or veteran, you will provide like the roadmap of where it's going, and that way in case one straggler gets lost.
Yeah, well, what happens is
That would be me.
We make sure everyone gets in there, and
Okay.
then, like, we have a team designated to be the tail end Charlie of the last ones to leave. So every veteran leaves. Okay, now we can break down, clean up, and then we're moving, and they're moving on to the next.
Excellent. Very, very coordinated. Okay, what is the best contact if a soldier wants to go ahead and register just to be part of the organization, maybe register for other events? So go to the website, you think?
Go to,
Okay.
Go to our website, irreverentwarriors.com.
Okay, so irreverentwarriors.com, perfect. And is there anything else you would like to address our audience on why they should join this organization?
If there's one thing that I can truly express to any soldier, sailor, Marine, or any other veteran out there, it's that you really can't do life alone. And this is where you will find another family. This is where you'll find that camaraderie that you've missed for so long. And we'd love to have you out here. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm here, South Florida coordinator for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Angelo.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Again, this is Angelo Martinez with the Irreverent Warriors, an organization dedicated to prevent soldier and veteran suicide through humor and camaraderie. Thank you so much for joining us. And in closing, I would like to address our viewers that nearly 46,000 lives were lost to suicide across our nation, according to the CDC. That's one life every 11 minutes. No doubt that mental health illness is a crisis in our nation. If you have suicidal thoughts, please stop and dial 988. Your life matters. I am your host, Anabel.